My husband has no patience with our 4-month-old. We're older parents. I'm 43 and my husband is 55. We've been married for 2 years and our son wasn't planned. It just happened. At first, he was happy, but once the baby arrived, I realized he was no longer happy. He rarely helps with the baby, claiming he doesn't know how to do anything despite me showing him simple tasks like changing diapers and putting on clothes. He says it's too hard and never truly tries, so I've been doing it all myself. Our baby had colic and would cry more than usual. My husband disliked that and would get very annoyed if our son cried for more than 5 minutes. He would yell at me to do something to get him to stop crying and never once tried to help. I felt so alone during the first few weeks after our son was born. Then my husband began complaining that the baby was taking up all my time and I had no time for him. Now our son is 4 months old and has started being very clingy, crying every time I put him down. It's been really frustrating because there are times I have to set him down, but I never let him cry for more than 10 minutes. Yesterday, I had to run an errand and left my husband to look after our son. I wasn't gone for long. It was probably 15 minutes. After I left, he called me saying I needed to come back because he couldn't get the baby to stop crying. I told him to try taking the baby outside. Shortly after, I got a notification from the baby monitor and saw our son in his crib crying. I was so frustrated that I turned around and came back home. When I got back, our son was still in his crib crying, and my husband was just sitting on the couch. I was furious and asked him why he left the baby crying for so long. He said, "I couldn't get him to stop. I really dislike that thing and wish it was never here." His comment surprised and saddened me. I know everyone gets frustrated at times, but I feel like his comment was over the top and I don't know what to do anymore. 4 days later, I'm planning an exit strategy that my husband doesn't know about. Even though he apologized for saying he disliked our baby and wished it wasn't here, I no longer trust him. Recently, he's been trying to make amends, but I'm still uncertain about my feelings towards him. This morning, I woke up later than usual and found that both he and my son were gone. He had taken our son for a walk without informing me, which made me panic and almost call the police. They returned just before I did. I told him not to go anywhere with our son because I no longer trust him. He insisted he would never harm his son, and that comment was made out of frustration. He felt I was overreacting and was hurt that I viewed him as a terrible person. I told him only a terrible person would say they disliked their helpless baby and wished they weren't here. Despite his efforts to help more by changing diapers and feeding our son, I'm struggling to move past his hurtful comments. He has 4 adult children from a previous marriage, and he has a close relationship with them. From what I've seen, he seems to be a good father. Some people have suggested he might have postpartum depression, but when I brought it up, he dismissed it, saying he just gets irritated when our son cries for too long. He claims he's working on his patience, but I wonder if his age of 55 contributes to his lack of patience with our 4-month-old. I'm in my head a lot. Deep down, I think I know what I need to do to keep my child safe, but another part of me wants to give him another chance. Now we'll move towards the next story. I'm a 34-year-old guy and I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter. My wife is 31. In high school, my wife was a popular girl stereotype. Pink blonde, chunky highlights in her brown hair. This was the mid-late 2000s. She was on the cheerleading team, had lots of friends and boyfriends, and was well known. She was basically the living embodiment of the picture-perfect girl from those cheesy 2000s high school movies. And then she got pregnant when she was 15. She had her daughter and doesn't know who the father is. Any potential fathers left after the girl was born. My daughter is recently 16. I never wanted kids. I found them annoying. But I fell in love with my wife and got married when she was 20 and I was 23. After dating for 2 years, we hit it off and I married her, deciding to suck it up around the kid. I never planned to absolutely love being a dad to her specifically. Kids still annoy me, but my stepdaughter technically, was different. She was quiet and nerdy. Even at a young age, I married her mother when she was 5, and we clicked right away. We went on daddy-daughter dates every weekend. I played dolls with her, let her paint my nails and do makeup on me, and drove her to and from school in my cop car. We even did daddy-daughter duo costumes for Halloween. Over the past 2 years, she's developed a darker dress style. I don't know what the proper subculture of her outfits is, but according to her, she's dressing like a horror game protagonist and a Monster High character. Purple is her main color she incorporates into this specific aesthetic blend, as she calls it. I don't get it, but maybe that's because I'm a man in my 30s. I don't know. She likes ghosts, tarot cards, vampires, zombies, aliens, and creepy Victorian dolls. I don't get it, but also I don't care because if it makes her happy, so what? She's also an introvert and prefers to play games on her computer or read fantasy occult novels rather than hang out with other teens her age. She has friends, so I'm not too worried about her being completely withdrawn. I'm just glad I don't have to drive her around since she only has a learner's permit currently. My wife hates this. My wife always wanted a girly girl, pinks and pastels and flowers and all that. She wants our daughter to get a boyfriend, be more social, and be a cheerleader like she was, which in itself is valid. I get it. I'm sure most parents have preferences for what they want their kid to turn out like, and some disappointment when they stray from that fantasy is valid. My wife will constantly take and hide my daughter's darker room decor. She constantly gets pastel dresses for our daughter, tells her to wipe off her dark eye makeup, tries to set her up on dates with jock types from my daughter's school, and convince her to sign up for both school and summer activities like cheerleading or volleyball. I could have put up with all of that. I really could have. But a few weeks ago, I woke up to my wife finally hitting her breaking point. I woke up in the middle of the night to my wife screaming and having what I can confidently describe as a borderline meltdown. She was crying and saying all she ever wanted was a normal daughter who likes pink and is a cheerleader and has a boyfriend and will give her grandkids. I had to drag her out of the hallway after 30 minutes of this. I kept thinking it would stop, but it kept going on and on. My daughter was just staring at this whole thing in the doorway of her room. What caused this meltdown from my wife? My daughter dyed her hair purple over the blonde streaks and highlights my wife had forced her to get in her hair. This wasn't even breaking a house rule, as my wife and I have both told her she can do whatever she wants with her hair as long as she doesn't stain too many towels. It's been weeks, and my daughter won't talk to her mom. My wife is still up with her antics, but now it's in overdrive. Every day she brings home some type of trendy clothing in pink or pastels and tries to give it to my daughter. My daughter is getting fed up and stays in her room all day and has confessed to me she can't wait for school to start back up in a few weeks so she can get out of the house and be with her friends again. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to side with anyone in this situation. I understand my wife wants a daughter who she can relate to, and my daughter wants a mom who understands her. I don't know what I can or should do. I need help. It's been about a week since I last posted about how my wife was having a meltdown over how my daughter chose to dress. 2 nights after I posted, I sat my wife down and very bluntly asked her what exactly the problem was. She kept saying she just wanted a daughter who was similar to her, but after I kept asking, she broke down and admitted the real reason why she was having her meltdowns. My wife feels that her daughter is the only way for her to have more family in the future. She's estranged from her siblings, her parents don't speak much to her, and all of her friends from high school stopped talking to her after her pregnancy. She wants a family back, and she's hoping that her daughter will grow up, get married, and give her grandchildren, which isn't something my daughter wants. She's tried getting her to change, but nothing worked. The only thing left to do is give her more time. I spoke to my daughter about it, and she told me she would consider spending more time with her mom if she would just be okay with her being herself. I told my wife to get back to her regular self because my daughter won't change if she keeps acting the way she is. I'm hoping this will be the end of their issues, but who knows? Now, the third story is, I'm a 33-year-old woman and I have a 7-month-old baby. I've been struggling with an eating disorder for the past 10 years. I've had periods of recovery, but this year has been particularly hard for me. My eating disorder has worsened since I gave birth to my son. I haven't been able to get back to a healthy weight, and I've been having a hard time keeping up with my self-care. My husband is supportive in many ways, but has a difficult time understanding what I'm going through. Recently, he told me he thinks I should get over my eating disorder because we now have a baby to take care of. He said it like it was something I should just be able to do. as if having a baby should be enough motivation for me to recover. I felt hurt and invalidated by his comment. He tried to explain that he didn't mean it that way, but it doesn't change how I feel. I've been trying my best to manage my eating disorder while taking care of our baby, but it's been incredibly difficult. I'm torn between wanting to get better for my baby and feeling unsupported by my husband. I don't know how to communicate this to him without making things worse. I need advice on how to approach this situation. After my last post, I took some time to think about how to approach the situation with my husband. I decided to have a serious conversation with him about how his comment made me feel. I told him that his remark about getting over my eating disorder wasn't helpful and only added to my stress. He apologized for not understanding the severity of my struggle and acknowledged that he had been too focused on the practical aspects of our lives rather than my emotional needs. We agreed to seek professional help together, including therapy for me to address my eating disorder and counseling for us as a couple to improve our communication. He also promised to educate himself more about eating disorders to better support me. I'm hopeful that with time and professional guidance, we can work through this together and strengthen our relationship.